pair of old shoes and a broken leash. It was a warm Saturday afternoon in Venice Beach. The sun sat comfortably above the boardwalk, casting soft gold over everything it touched. Kids rode skateboards past souvenir stands. Tourists with slushies in hand laughed at seagulls trying to steal French fries. Musicians played guitars by the street corners, and artists sold paintings from the backs of their vans. Keanu Reeves walked quietly along the boardwalk, wearing a black hoodie, faded jeans, and sunglasses. No one noticed him. He liked it that way. Today he wasn't there for a movie shoot or a fan event. He was simply looking for peace, maybe a little inspiration. Ever since his last film wrapped up, he had been searching for something real, something that would touch his soul. As he passed by a small food truck, something strange caught his eye. A young boy around 10 years old was sitting cross-legged on the sidewalk just outside the skate park. His sneakers were old, the soles almost falling off. His t-shirt was 2 sizes too big, and his jeans were patched at the knees. Beside him sat a dusty cardboard sign that read in shaky handwriting, "Dog for sale. Please help." Next to the boy was a thin, brown dog, maybe a Labrador mix with kind eyes but visible ribs. The dog rested its head on the boy's lap, wagging its tail slowly, sensing his sadness. A worn-out leash connected the two. Keanu slowed down and took off his sunglasses. He stood still for a moment, watching from a distance as the boy patted the dog gently, whispering something into its ear. No one else stopped. They walked by without seeing him. Just another boy with another sign in a city full of stories. But Keanu couldn't walk past. Something deep inside his chest pulled him toward the boy. He stepped closer and crouched down, speaking softly. "Hey, buddy, what's your dog's name?" The boy looked up, startled. His eyes were red from crying. He wiped his nose on his sleeve and answered, "Lucky." Keanu smiled, noticing how the boy held the dog like he was his best friend in the whole world. "He looks like a good dog. Why are you selling him?" Keanu asked gently. The boy hesitated. Then his voice cracked as he replied, "We don't got no place to live anymore. Mom said we can't afford food for all 3 of us. She said, maybe if I sell Lucky, we can buy dinner tonight." Keanu felt his throat tighten. The boy's words weren't rehearsed. They came from a place of real hunger, of real struggle. "I love him, mister, I really do. He sleeps next to me. I tell him everything. He's not just a dog, he's my brother." The dog lifted its head and licked the boy's cheek. Keanu blinked and looked away for a moment, pretending to adjust his sunglasses. "How much are you asking?" Keanu said. The boy shrugged. $20. Or maybe even 10. I just want someone nice to take care of him. Keanu sat down next to the boy. People still walked by, clueless to what was happening on the ground. He took a deep breath and something shifted inside him. This wasn't about buying a dog. This was about saving a boy's heart from breaking. "What's your name?" Keanu asked. "Tyler," the boy replied. "My mom's looking for work. We sleep in our car now, but I don't like it. It smells funny and gets real cold at night." Keanu didn't answer right away. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his wallet. He found a $100 bill and handed it to Tyler. The boy's eyes widened. "Mister, this is too much." "No, it's not," Keanu said. "But I have a different idea. What if I don't buy Lucky? What if I help you keep him?" The boy didn't understand. "Let me take you both to lunch," Keanu continued. "You, your mom, and Lucky. We'll talk. Maybe we can figure something out together." Tyler looked down at Lucky. Then he looked back up at the stranger. "Why would you do that?" Keanu smiled gently. "Because I think Lucky's not the only one living up to his name today." Just then, a woman came running toward them, thin, exhausted, and scared. She had dark circles under her eyes and worn shoes that had holes in them. She looked at Tyler, then at Keanu with confusion and fear. "Tyler," she cried out. "What are you doing? I told you not to talk to strangers." Keanu stood up slowly and raised his hands to show peace. "Hi, I'm Keanu. I just wanted to help." She stared at him, and after a moment, recognition dawned in her tired eyes. "Wait, are you?" "Yeah." he said simply. But right now I'm just a guy trying to buy lunch for a kid and his dog. She didn't speak for a long while. Then tears filled her eyes. I didn't want it to be like this, she whispered. I didn't want him to sell his only friend. Keanu nodded. You don't have to explain. Let's talk over a meal. I'll listen. No pressure, no promises. Just kindness. Tyler looked up at his mother and reached for her hand. She nodded through her tears. Okay. Keanu smiled. Great. There's a little diner just around the corner. They allow dogs on the patio. And with that, the three of them, Keanu, Tyler, and his mother, walked toward the diner. Lucky wagged his tail with joy, not knowing what was happening, but happy to be going with the boy he loved. As they disappeared into the crowd, the cardboard sign stayed behind on the sidewalk. But the story it held was only just beginning. Pancakes, promises, and paper napkins. The little diner sat at the corner of Main and Rose Avenue, with red umbrellas over picnic tables and a worn chalkboard that read, Breakfast served. All day. The place wasn't fancy, but it smelled of bacon, coffee, and warm syrup. It was the kind of place where tired souls found comfort. Keanu held the door open as Tyler and his mother stepped in, followed closely by Lucky, whose tail wagged like a metronome. The waitress, a cheerful woman named Donna, looked up and gave a polite nod until her eyes landed on Keanu. For a second, her mouth opened slightly, but he gave her a subtle smile and pressed a finger to his lips. Donna nodded again, understanding instantly. They took a seat at the far booth by the window. Tyler slid in next to Lucky, who curled up on the floor at his feet. Keanu sat across from him, while Tyler's mother, her name was Claire, settled, beside her son, still hesitant, still unsure what to believe. A waitress brought menus, but Keanu pushed his aside. Order whatever you want, he said softly. Today you eat until you're full. Claire looked down, her hands shaking slightly. We haven't had a real meal in 3 days, she whispered. Tyler didn't wait. He pointed at the pancakes, with strawberries and whipped cream. Can I have those? Keanu grinned. You got it. As the waitress walked off, the silence at the table stretched awkwardly. Claire kept stealing glances at Keanu, as if trying to figure him out. You don't have to be afraid, he finally said. I'm not here to judge. I've been through stuff too, life. It hits hard sometimes. Claire sighed. We weren't always like this. I had a job at a real estate office. Then they let me go during the layoffs. Everything started slipping. After that, rent, bills, car payments, we tried to hold on. We really tried. But when you don't have anyone to help, it's like the world forgets you exist. Keanu nodded slowly, his eyes never leaving hers. The world doesn't forget, he said gently. It just moves fast. Too fast for good people to catch up. Tyler leaned forward. But we're not giving up. Right, Mom? Claire wiped a tear and nodded. No, baby. We're not. The food arrived, steaming plates of pancakes, scrambled eggs, and crispy hash browns. Tyler's eyes lit up. As he dug in, Lucky perked up too, and Keanu passed him a small plate with bacon. Keanu watched them eat, quietly taking a bite of toast now and then. His mind wasn't on food. It was on the boy sitting across from him, so full of hope despite so little, and the mother holding herself together with invisible thread. After the plates were nearly clean, Keanu leaned in. I don't want to make things complicated, he began, but if you'll allow me, I'd like to help. Claire looked up slowly. Help how? I know some people who run a nonprofit here in LA. They offer temporary housing and job placement for single parents. It's real. I've seen it work. No strings attached. They just help people get back on their feet. Claire's eyes filled again. Why would you do this for us? Keanu hesitated. Then he took a napkin and slowly started writing something on it. When he slid it across the table, she picked it up. On it was a simple sentence, because someone once did it for me. Claire didn't speak. Her lips trembled as she held the napkin close. Tyler looked confused. Someone helped you too? Keanu nodded. Years ago. After my dad left, my mom worked 3 jobs. Sometimes we couldn't even afford bus fare. One day, a stranger handed her $20 and said, "You're stronger than you think." I never forgot that. It was just money, to him, but it was dignity for us. Claire put her hand over her heart. "You don't know how much we needed to hear that today." Keanu smiled gently. "Then maybe we were meant to meet." They sat in silence for a few more minutes, the kind of silence that didn't feel heavy anymore. Outside, Lucky barked once, playfully chasing a falling leaf. Keanu tapped his phone and showed Claire a map. "The shelter's 5 blocks from here. They have family rooms, hot meals, showers. They even have people who help build resumes. I can call them. You'll be safe there." Claire looked at her son. Tyler stared up at her with wide, hopeful eyes. "What do you think, baby?" she asked. "Can Lucky come?" he said. Keanu grinned. "Of course. They even have a vet volunteer who checks up on pets." Claire gave a small nod. "Okay. Yes, let's go." As they stepped out into the sunlight, Donna the waitress handed Tyler a paper bag. "Just some cookies for later," she said with a wink. Tyler beamed. "Thank you, ma'am." They walked together down the sidewalk, Keanu, Claire, Tyler, and Lucky, like a little family stitched together by kindness. Keanu didn't speak much. He just listened as Tyler talked about Lucky's favorite snack and how they used to sleep under the same blanket. Claire shared that she once wanted to be a nurse. Maybe it wasn't too late. When they reached the building painted in soft blue with a white picket gate, Claire paused outside. "This is where we try again," she said, softly. Keanu smiled. "It's not the end, just the next chapter." A kind-looking woman opened the door and welcomed them in. After some brief introductions and a phone call from Keanu, Claire and Tyler were guided inside, Lucky trotting right behind. Keanu stood outside for a moment, watching them disappear down the hallway. He didn't expect anything in return. He wasn't looking for thanks. But just before the door closed, Tyler ran back and hugged him tight. "I'm going to take care of Lucky forever," he whispered. Keanu bent down and whispered back, "And Lucky's going to take care of you." As Tyler ran back inside, Keanu turned and walked into the golden light of late afternoon. The boardwalk still buzzed with tourists and street music. But now, something felt different. A boy, his dog, and his mother had found a sliver of hope. And that was more than enough for one day. Second chances smell like soap and spaghetti. The next morning brought the kind of silence that only comes after safety. Soft beds, warm lights, and full stomachs can quiet a child's worry like no words ever can. For Tyler and Claire, the shelter felt like a miracle wrapped in fresh linen. Keanu didn't want to overwhelm them, so he gave them space. But he hadn't disappeared. He had left his number with the shelter's caseworker, Maria, a warm, middle-aged woman who always wore flower earrings and talked like sunshine. He also left a simple message with her. "If they need anything at all, call me. I'll come." Meanwhile, Keanu kept walking the boardwalk, watching people, picking up energy from life itself. He found peace in strangers' laughter, in the tiny dramas that unfolded between vendor stalls, and in the quiet gestures people made when they thought no one was looking. But on the 3rd day, his phone rang. It was Maria. "Keanu," she said, "they'd love to see you." Within an hour, he arrived at the shelter carrying a brown bag filled with something that always brought comfort: spaghetti and garlic bread from his favorite Italian place downtown. When he stepped inside, Maria greeted him with a smile. "They're out back. The little one's been talking about you nonstop. He calls you the man with the bacon and magic powers." Keanu laughed. "I'll take it." He walked to the small garden area in the backyard where picnic tables sat beneath string lights and a few flower beds tried their best to survive Los Angeles heat. There was Tyler playing fetch with Lucky using a stick. Claire sat nearby reading a brochure about job training. Tyler saw him first and ran over, eyes glowing. "You came back." Keanu knelt down and held out the bag. "And I brought dinner." Lucky barked happily, and Claire stood up, a little more confident than before. "You didn't have to do this." "I know," Keanu replied, "but I wanted to." They sat at the table, passing out napkins and plates as if they were family. The spaghetti was still warm, and the garlic bread smelled like it came straight out of heaven's oven. Between bites, Claire spoke up. They helped me apply for a few jobs. Office cleaning, restaurant hostess. It's not much, but it's something. It's a beginning, Keanu said. Every good story needs one. She smiled, but her eyes were still cautious. No, part of me keeps wondering what this all is. I mean, you could be doing anything, anywhere. Why us? Keanu leaned back and looked at the sky. Because sometimes the universe gives you a sign. Sometimes you don't ignore it. I saw a boy trying to sell his best friend to survive. That shook something in me. I couldn't walk away from that. Tyler looked up, mouth full of pasta. Lucky likes you. I like him too, Keanu replied, reaching under the table to pet the dog's head. As night crept in, the string lights flickered above them. Maria joined them with juice boxes and stories about other families who had made it through. For the first time in a long time, Claire laughed without covering her mouth. Tyler laid down on the bench with Lucky curled at his feet. He was full, safe, and slowly beginning to believe that the world might not be so scary. As they prepared to leave the garden and head to their room for the night, Claire paused beside Keanu. Thank you, she said quietly. Not just for the food or the shelter, but for seeing us. Really seeing us. Keanu nodded. Sometimes all we need is someone to look past the broken pieces and see the whole picture. Before he left, he gave Tyler a small box. Open it tomorrow. The next morning, Tyler opened it with shaking hands. Inside was a brand new collar for Lucky, a leash with "Best Team Ever" written on it, and a little note. Never let go of each other. You're stronger together. That day, Claire got a call back for one of the jobs. It was part-time at a local hotel, cleaning rooms. Not glamorous, but honest work with tips and flexibility. Maria offered to help with transportation. Keanu, true to his word, stayed out of the way but checked in through Maria. The days that followed were slow but steady. Tyler started helping at the shelter garden, watering plants and making everyone laugh. Claire showed up to her job early every day. Lucky gained weight and started looking like a proper little lion again. And every few days, Keanu would drop off something quietly. An envelope with grocery money, a backpack with school supplies, a pair of warm shoes. No one saw him come or go, but they always knew it was him. Then one evening, Maria brought a new update. Keanu, she said, you might want to come tomorrow. Tyler wants to show you something. He arrived just after lunch the next day. Tyler stood proudly with a folded paper in his hand. It was a drawing. On it was a stick figure holding hands with a smaller stick figure and a dog. Under it was written, me, Mom, Lucky, and Mr. Keanu. Family. Keanu blinked fast, his heart pounding in his chest. You drew this? Yeah, Tyler said shyly. We're not blood, but we're still family, right? Keanu knelt down and hugged him. The best kind of family, he whispered. And at that moment, something shifted. Not just for Tyler, not just for Claire, but for Keanu himself. Because in helping them, he had found a piece of himself he didn't even know was missing. Not everything was fixed. Not yet. But the roots had taken hold. And in the dirt of brokenness, something beautiful was beginning to grow. The stranger with the gray suit days turned into weeks, and the rhythm of life began to shift for Claire and Tyler. Claire now worked 5 days a week at the hotel. She wore her new uniform proudly and brought home coins from tips that Tyler counted out like treasure. Lucky, once frail and nervous, now had a glossy coat and barked at passing birds like he owned the sky. And Tyler? He had grown bolder, asking questions, telling jokes, making new friends at the shelter. Keanu kept visiting when he could, always quiet, always humble. He never asked for attention. He simply showed up, with a bag of books, a box of dog treats, or a flashlight for Tyler's new bedtime reading habit. But just when things seemed to settle, a shadow appeared. It was a Wednesday afternoon. Claire had just finished her shift and returned to the shelter. Maria handed her a folded note someone had dropped off earlier. The message was short. Your time's up. People like you don't get to be lucky forever. Claire read it 3 Times before her hands began to shake. She didn't tell Tyler, she didn't tell Maria either. Instead, she stuffed the note in her coat pocket and forced a smile through dinner. But something in her shifted after that. Her shoulders tightened. She walked quicker. She spoke less. The next day, Keanu came by with a portable heater for their room. He noticed the change immediately. "You okay?" he asked as they stood outside by the shelter garden. Claire forced a laugh. "Yeah, just tired, I guess." Keanu watched her closely, sensing the walls going back up. "You sure?" She looked at him, eyes heavier than usual. "Have you ever felt like someone's watching you, just waiting for you to mess up?" Keanu didn't answer at first. Then he said softly, "More times than I can count." She lowered her eyes. "We're not supposed to be here forever, I know that. But it's like the moment we get a little light, the darkness sends a warning." Keanu felt a chill in the air that had nothing to do with the weather. "Can you tell me what happened?" Claire hesitated. Finally, she pulled the note from her pocket and handed it to him. Keanu read it silently. Then he folded it again very carefully and slid it into his jacket. "I'll take care of it," he said firmly. Claire looked unsure. What if it's just someone angry we got a room? Maybe another person who wanted help. Keanu shook his head. "It's more than that. This is personal, and I won't let anyone threaten you or Tyler." Later that night, Keanu sat alone in his apartment, looking at the note under the lamp. He'd seen things like this before, veiled threats, warnings wrapped in paper, but something about this one felt too specific. He made a few calls, not Hollywood calls, real ones. A private investigator he trusted owed him a favor. He gave him the shelter address and told him to quietly observe the area for the next few days. Meanwhile, Tyler remained unaware. He was focused on a school program Maria helped him sign up for, after-school tutoring and weekend art lessons. Every time he finished a new drawing, he saved it for Keanu. "I'm making a book," he said proudly one day. "It's about people who are kind even when they don't have to be." Keanu smiled. "That's a book the world needs." A few days passed. Then came a quiet afternoon with clear skies when Maria pulled Keanu aside after his usual visit. "Someone's been parked across the street in a gray car," she said. "Not doing anything, just sitting. He's come back 4 times this week." Keanu felt his jaw clench. He reached out to his investigator. Sure enough, the man had already spotted the car, and he had a name: Richard Hayes. Keanu didn't recognize it, but Claire did. When he told her, her face drained of color. "He's my old landlord," she whispered. "The one who evicted us." "Why would he be doing this?" "Because I reported him," Claire said. "After we left, I filed a complaint. The building had mold. The plumbing was a disaster. Tyler got sick, and the doctor said it was from the air inside our apartment. I filed a report and he got fined." Keanu's voice dropped low. "And now he wants revenge." "I thought he forgot about us," Claire said, shaking. "We've moved on. We didn't ask for this." Keanu stood up, calm but firm. "You didn't ask for any of this, but he's not going to hurt you. Not while I'm here." That evening, Keanu drove to the shelter parking lot and waited. And just like clockwork, the gray car rolled up. A man in a suit sat behind the wheel, sunglasses on even though the sun had already dipped. Keanu approached the driver's side and knocked on the window. The man rolled it down slowly, looking smug. "Can I help you?" he asked. "Yeah," Keanu said quietly. "You can stop stalking a single mother and her kid." "I'm not doing anything illegal," the man snapped. "I'm parked on public property." Keanu leaned in closer. "And I'm warning you, stay away. Next time you even drive near this building, the police will be waiting," the man sneered. "You don't scare me, Hollywood." Keanu's eyes didn't blink. "I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to protect them. You know what happens when people like you push too far?" The man said nothing. "They lose. Every time." Keanu stepped back, memorized the license plate, and took a photo. Then he walked away. The next morning, Maria confirmed that a restraining order had been filed. The shelter installed extra cameras and the man never came back. When Claire heard what Keanu had done, she cried. Not because she was scared, but because someone had finally stood up for her without asking for anything in return. "You didn't have to," she said through tears. "But I did," Keanu replied, "because no one should ever have to face fear alone." And once again, the shadows backed off. Not forever, but long enough for light to grow roots. As the week ended, Claire got offered a permanent job with better pay. Tyler was invited to display his drawings at a local gallery for children. And Keanu? He stayed nearby, still quiet. Still watching, because that's what real guardians do. A gallery wall and a birthday wish. Tyler stood in front of a white wall, his hands slightly trembling. On the wall were 5 of his drawings, each framed carefully and hung with labels below. The gallery wasn't big, just a corner of a community center downtown. But to Tyler, it felt like standing in a museum made of dreams. Kids walked around, with juice boxes, holding hands with parents pointing at art made with bright colors and messy lines. Laughter echoed across the space and music played low in the background. It was Saturday afternoon and this was Tyler's big day. One of his drawings was of Lucky wearing sunglasses. Another showed Claire smiling with a rainbow behind her. And the most recent one showed a tall man in a black hoodie kneeling beside a boy and his dog. Under it he had written in red crayon, "Kind people are real." Keanu arrived just before the crowd thickened. He wore jeans and a flannel shirt, his hair pulled back, trying to blend in. He smiled as he walked past each drawing, pausing at the one with his figure in it. "This one's my favorite," he said. Tyler grinned. "That's you? But I gave you cooler shoes." Keanu laughed. "Thanks. I've always wanted rocket boots." Nearby, Claire stood in a navy blue blouse she had found at a second-hand store, her posture tall and proud. She looked younger lately, lighter. The job at the hotel had become permanent. She was even starting to save money for a small apartment. Tyler's teacher approached Keanu during the event. "You know he's really gifted, not just in drawing but in storytelling. He doesn't just draw pictures, he tells you a whole story with each one." Keanu nodded, glancing at Tyler. He's had to live through more stories than most kids his age. After the gallery event, the 3 of them, Keanu, Claire, and Tyler, walked to a nearby park to celebrate quietly. Lucky chased a tennis ball across the grass while Tyler lay on a picnic blanket giggling. "I heard it's someone's birthday. Coming up," Keanu said as he opened a small paper box. Tyler gasped when he saw the cupcake inside, with a single blue candle standing tall. "No way. How did you know?" "I have spies," Keanu said, pretending to glance around with suspicion. Tyler sat up straight. "Can I make a wish?" "Absolutely," Claire said, smiling. Tyler closed his eyes tight, hands wrapped around the base of the cupcake. Then he whispered something no one could hear and blew out the candle. Keanu waited a moment. "You gonna tell us what you wished for?" "Nope," Tyler said. "If I tell, it won't come true." They all laughed. Claire leaned against the bench and watched them, her smile softening. Keanu turned toward her. "You know, it's been almost 2 months now." "Since we met?" she asked. "Yeah, everything's changed." Claire nodded slowly. "I still get scared sometimes, like maybe this is all just luck and one day it'll disappear." Keanu looked toward the sky. "Luck comes and goes, but kindness sticks around. You didn't just get lucky, Claire. You worked for this, every single day." Claire's eyes misted, but she didn't cry. Instead, she whispered, "Thank you for not walking past us that day." Keanu looked at her. "Thank you for letting me stay." They sat in silence, watching Tyler and Lucky play in the grass, the sunset casting orange across the sky. The moment felt almost too perfect, like something fragile you didn't want to touch in case it shattered, but life wasn't done with them yet. That night, after Claire tucked Tyler into bed, she sat down at the shelter's computer to check her messages. There was an email waiting for her, from a local housing program she had applied to weeks ago. "Congratulations, Claire. You've been selected for subsidized family housing. Move-in date, next Friday." She stared at the screen, hands covering her mouth. She reread it 5 times to make sure it was real. It was. She had been approved for an apartment, a real one, with a key, with walls they could decorate, with a kitchen where Tyler could eat breakfast while Lucky sat beside him. The next morning she called Keanu and asked if he could meet her and Tyler in the community garden. When he arrived, Tyler was already bouncing on the balls of his feet. "We got a place," he yelled. "Mom says it's ours, like really ours." Keanu blinked, surprised. "You're moving out?" Claire nodded. "It's a 2-bedroom apartment in Inglewood. Quiet street, walking distance to school, pet-friendly." Keanu smiled, slowly. "That's amazing. We couldn't have done it without you," Claire said. "You showed us the way." "No," Keanu said gently. "You walked it." They hugged, first Claire, then Tyler, who held on tight. "Will you still come visit us?" Tyler asked. "You won't be able to get rid of me," Keanu replied. "Besides, someone has to check on Lucky's sunglasses collection." Later that week, Keanu helped them move. He carried boxes, set up the curtain rods, and even helped Claire assemble a wobbly coffee table. When everything was in place, he stepped back and looked around. The apartment was small but filled with light. There was laughter echoing off the walls already. The fridge had magnets. The windows had promise. And in the living room above the sofa, Tyler had already taped up a new drawing. It showed 4 stick figures this time. Tyler, Claire, Lucky, and Keanu, all holding hands under a roof. And beneath it, written in bright green crayon, "Home is where someone believes in you." One last walk and a letter in the mailbox. A few months later, the streets of Inglewood were blooming with spring. Jacaranda trees dropped purple petals on sidewalks, and the sun warmed the pavement just enough to make dogs nap in its light. In a quiet neighborhood, behind a small white fence, lived a boy, his mother, and a dog who no longer looked hungry. The apartment had become a real home. Tyler now had his own room, covered in posters and drawings, some framed and some taped crookedly. Claire had decorated the kitchen with yellow curtains and thrift store mugs that didn't match, which made her laugh every morning. And Lucky? He had claimed a corner of the couch as his throne, always with a toy or blanket nearby. Keanu still visited once or twice a week, sometimes with groceries, sometimes with books, sometimes with nothing but time. He and Tyler would go for walks with Lucky, or watch old cartoons, or just talk about life. But on one particular afternoon, something felt different. Keanu had arrived, with a surprise. Tickets to a weekend art fair where Tyler could display his newest pieces. Claire made lemonade and sandwiches, and they sat together on the patio while Tyler played with Lucky in the yard. After a while, Keanu grew quiet. Claire noticed. "You okay?" He nodded. "Yeah, I've just been thinking." "About what?" "About letting go," he said softly. Claire's smile faded. "What do you mean?" Keanu looked out at Tyler chasing Lucky in circles. "You don't need me like you used to, and that's a good thing. You'll always be part of this," Claire said gently. "You changed our lives." "But you took it from there," Keanu replied. "You made it into something real." She didn't argue. She knew he was right. They had climbed the hardest parts, and now they were standing on their own feet. That night, after dinner and stories, Keanu said goodbye a little longer than usual. Tyler didn't notice. He was too busy building a Lego castle. Claire, though, felt it in her chest. 2 days passed, then 3. Keanu didn't show up. No message, no visit. Just quiet. On the 4th day, Tyler opened the mailbox and found a brown envelope. His name was written in neat handwriting. Inside, there was a folded letter and a small sketchbook tied with a red string. He ran inside and handed it to his mom. "It's from him," he whispered. Claire opened the letter and read it aloud. "Dear Tyler, you once told me you believed in kind people. Well, I want you to know, I believe in you. You are brave, you are gentle, you are a light in this world, and the world needs more of you. This sketchbook is for your next chapter. Draw your dreams. Draw your fears. Draw what matters. And remember, real strength comes from loving deeply even when it's hard. As for me, it's time to go help someone else. But I'll carry you, your mom, and Lucky in my heart wherever I go. Never stop creating. Never stop caring. Love. Keanu was quiet. Claire wiped her eyes. Inside the sketchbook was a drawing Keanu had made himself, his first and only one for Tyler. It showed a boy holding a pencil like a sword, standing tall beside his dog, with the words written beneath. Hero. Of his own story. Weeks passed. Tyler kept drawing. He entered local contests. His teachers began to talk about scholarships, about possibilities. Claire started taking night classes at the community college, determined to chase the nursing dream she had once put away. They talked about Keanu often, not with sadness, but with gratitude. Because some people walk into your life like storms, but the kind that water your garden, not destroy it. Then one morning, months later, as Claire walked to the kitchen, for coffee she found an envelope on the windowsill. No stamp. No writing. Inside was a photograph. It showed Keanu in another city, sitting on a bench with an elderly man in a hospital gown. They were laughing, holding chess pieces. Behind them, a therapy dog sat calmly, wearing a vest. On the back of the photo, in small letters, were the words, helping, someone new, but always with you. That night, Tyler added one more page to his book, a page with a man in a hoodie, walking alone but smiling under a sky filled with stars. And in green crayon, he wrote, some heroes don't wear capes. They carry kindness instead. And somewhere, far from cameras and lights, Keanu Reeves walked into another story, ready to listen, ready to help, ready to change one more life. Not because he had to, but because that's just who he was.